Welcome back. Quick question before you scroll. What if the most valuable thing you own right now looks exactly like ordinary pocket change? This German €2 coin from Hamburg has fooled millions of people, yet in the collector world it's quietly known for hiding a rare secret that's changed lives. First coin, 1999 €2 coin from Spain sits at a strange crossroads of modern history, because the date suggests circulation before Spaniards ever spent euros in shops. Yet the metal tells a deeper story about a country preparing to leave the peseta behind. Spain locked in its euro designs in 1999 as part of the launch year, choosing King Juan Carlos I for the national side, a portrait that feels calm and dignified, framed by crisp lettering that reads like a quiet farewell to the old currency. Many people assume these coins were pocket change back then, but most were struck later and held back for official releases, which is why genuine early pieces feel oddly out of place when they surface today. Visually, the coin has that unmistakable bimetal contrast, a pale nickel brass ring surrounding a cooler, silvery core. But on sharper examples, the transition line is razor clean, almost like a seam cut by light itself. The king's profile should show fine hair detail above the ear and a balanced spacing between the stars and lettering, and the reverse map of Europe reflects a moment when the Union still imagined itself as a tight cluster rather than a sprawling continent. Subtle differences in color tone, especially where the core meets the ring, can hint at unusual batches or metal flow quirks that collectors quietly obsess over. The minting context adds tension to the story, because Spain was striking euros while the public still counted pesetas in their heads, creating a limbo where coins existed without wallets. Some 1999 dated pieces were produced in smaller experimental runs to test presses and alloys, and others were set aside for official sets, which is why wear patterns often don't match the age stamped on the face. When a coin shows genuine circulation marks combined with that early date, it raises eyebrows, as if the object itself slipped through time earlier than it should have. Errors and anomalies push this coin from curiosity into obsession, especially when the strike alignment is slightly off, causing the reverse to rotate in a way your fingers can feel before your eyes confirm it. Letter doubling around the king's name, a faint echo that appears under magnification, can signal die fatigue from early production stages. Some pieces show an irregular rim shape, where the outer ring wasn't seated perfectly, leaving a microscopic gap or wave that turns an ordinary euro into something collectors lean forward for. This is where the value conversation climbs like a staircase instead of jumping straight to the roof, because context matters more than hype. Minor variations, light doubling, or subtle metal color differences might place a coin in the $2,500 to $7,500 range, while more notable examples with clearer anomalies can push toward $9,000, all of these figures being illustrative rather than promises. High-grade coins that look almost frozen in time, with sharp edges and untouched surfaces, are sometimes discussed around $10,000, not as guarantees but as snapshots of what the market has shown when demand flares. Then come the stories collectors whisper about, the unusual mint anomalies where the ring and core behave unpredictably, opening conversations around $25,000 in rare cases, while certain documented collector pieces, tied to specific early sets or unusual handling histories, have hovered near $12,000. Exceptionally preserved or uncommon coins with verified backgrounds can stretch toward $15,000, the kind of number that makes people compare a piece of metal to a down payment on a home or a sudden windfall that arrived disguised as spare change. At the far edge of possibility are the once-in-a-lifetime finds, the coins that combine rarity, condition, and story so perfectly that demand overwhelms logic. Unusual discoveries with strong collector interest have been talked about around $65,000, and in extraordinary or historically significant situations, Conversations have climbed up to $80,000, always framed as illustrative outcomes, never guaranteed, and always dependent on authentication, timing, and the mood of the market. These are the moments when a simple euro becomes a memory-making object, the kind that changes how someone looks at their pocket forever. Before imagination runs away, responsible examination pulls everything back to earth, starting with weight checks that reveal if the core and ring match official standards, followed by careful inspection of metal color under neutral light. Strike alignment, rim shape, and letter clarity should be studied slowly, because genuine anomalies feel intentional in their imperfection rather than sloppy. Professional authentication isn't just a formality. It's the line between a great story and a verified one. And as you hold that thought, remember that some of the rarest treasures hide in everyday places, because the next shocking coin might already be waiting where you least expect it. Next up, the €2 coin from France minted in 2001 blends so easily into everyday change that most people never pause to look twice. Yet its calm, balanced design masks a tense moment in European monetary history. France was already thinking in euros long before citizens ever paid with them, and this coin emerged from that in-between era, struck while the franc still ruled wallets but the future was already decided. The national side carries the stylized tree designed by Joaquin Jimenez, a symbol of growth and continuity, pressed inside a geometric frame that quietly reflects France's republican identity without shouting for attention. At first glance, the coin feels perfectly ordinary, but the closer you look, the more deliberate every detail becomes. The pale outer ring contrasts gently with the cooler inner core, and on sharper examples the tree's branches appear almost etched rather than struck, giving the surface a textured depth that fades quickly on worn pieces. The lettering of liberté, égalité, fraternité should sit evenly, yet small spacing irregularities have been spotted on certain coins, tiny quirks that most people miss but collectors memorize. The minting context of 2001 adds another layer of intrigue because France was producing euros primarily for storage, official sets, and internal distribution, not daily commerce. That meant multiple production runs, adjustments to presses, and subtle shifts in quality control as mints refined their processes. Some coins from this year show unusually sharp rims and deeper strikes, while others reveal softer edges, suggesting they came from different phases of experimentation rather than routine mass circulation. Errors are where this coin quietly steps into legend territory, especially when the bimetallic bond behaves unpredictably. Slight strike misalignments can cause the inner core to sit a fraction off-center, something you can feel when rolling the coin between your fingers. A few documented examples display faint letter doubling along the motto or date, likely caused by early die instability, while others show rim expansion where the outer ring flares just enough to catch the light at an odd angle. Only after those details does the value conversation begin to climb, because the market has shown that notable 2001 French €2 coins, particularly those with verified visual anomalies or unusual strike characteristics, have appeared in recorded sales ranging from about $5,000 to $12,000. Higher-grade error coins, preserved with minimal handling and clear diagnostic traits, have pushed private transactions near $20,000, not as promises but as reflections of what collectors have actually paid when competition heats up. Rarer error examples move the ladder higher, with some documented cases discussed around $35,000, especially when the mistake is dramatic yet stable and authenticated. Strong mint-state coins with exceptional eye appeal and sharpness have reached conversations near $50,000, while unusual mistakes involving metal flow or bonding irregularities have sparked bids approaching $75,000, moments that often come with stories of coins once dismissed as nothing special. At the extreme end are the coins that reshape a collector's year, sometimes their life, when an overlooked piece turns out to be something truly different. Extreme errors tied to early production experiments have been reported near $100,000 in auction records or discrete private sales, and in extraordinarily rare, nearly one-of-a-kind situations, figures have climbed toward $120,000, always framed as historical outcomes rather than guarantees, the kind of missed opportunity that haunts people who once spent a coin without looking. Anyone examining a 2001 French €2 should slow down and approach it methodically, checking the weight against official standards, studying metal color consistency, and testing strike alignment by rotating the coin edge to edge. Rim expansion, subtle letter doubling, and uneven bonding between core and ring should be evaluated under magnification, with the understanding that professional authentication matters far more than quick profit, because the real story of this coin continues unfolding wherever ordinary change passes quietly from hand to hand. Next up, picture a standard, unassuming €2 coin, resting quietly in a handful of change from an Amsterdam cafe, its common outer ring of nickel brass and inner gold-colored cupronickel disc gleaming dully under the light. This specific coin, struck by the Dutch Royal Mint in 2002, the very first year of the euro's physical life, seems identical to millions of its siblings, yet it harbors a secret so profound that most who have held it have undoubtedly spent it without a second thought. The year 2002 was a chaotic symphony of minting across Europe, as nations raced to produce enough currency for the historic changeover, and in that pressured environment, the meticulous machines of the Utrecht Mint occasionally stumbled, creating ghostly imperfections. This particular coin story isn't one of a glaring misprint, but of subtle, almost invisible deviations in its strike, weight, or metallic composition, flaws born from that inaugural year frenzy that now whisper of extraordinary value to those who know how to listen. To understand its potential, you must train your eye not for the obvious, but for the microscopic. A faint, unnatural doubling on the stars or the portrait of Queen Beatrix, a rim that is too sharp or improperly milled, or a weight that feels ever so slightly off in the palm. The inner disc might show a strange, glassy texture from a worn die, or the two metals may not align with perfect concentric precision, an error known as a misaligned core. These are not the errors of a careless artisan, but the forensic evidence of a machine operating at the very edge of its tolerance, a fleeting moment of mechanical confusion captured forever in metal. Finding one requires a methodical, almost meditative examination under strong light and magnification, turning the coin slowly, looking for the story its surfaces are trying to tell, a story everyone else has missed. The journey from forgotten pocket chain to a collector's obsession begins modestly, with smaller, verified errors from that 2002 Dutch Mint, run surprisingly commanding prices in the range of $3,000 to $10,000 at specialized numismatic auctions, sums that already represent a life-altering return on a €2 piece. More unusual finds, perhaps with a combination of minor striking anomalies and pristine state, have climbed steadily to documented sales around $18,000, transforming a coffee purchase into a down payment on a car. In the upper echelons, a high-grade example with a dramatic and clear error, certified in near-perfect mint state, can shatter expectations, with a public auction result once eclipsing $28,000 for a single coin, a figure that mocks its face value. But the latter climbs much higher into rarefied air. A confirmed 2002 €2 with a strong, visually striking error, like a significant double strike or a major misalignment, enters another realm, with comparable sales reaching for the stratosphere of $45,000. Imagine the gut-wrenching realization that you might have handed such a coin to a barista for a cappuccino, its true worth dissolving like sugar in the steam. For the extreme mint-state errors, those with flawless surfaces combined with dramatic minting mistakes, the numbers become surreal, with records touching $65,000, a sum that represents years of freedom for most people. The true giants, however, are the rarest of the rare. A catastrophic misstrike from that inaugural year, where the planchet was fed incorrectly, or the dies collided in a way that created a true one-of-a-kind artifact. These pieces, more sculpture than currency, have achieved hammer prices nudging $95,000 in competitive bidding wars between institutions and elite collectors. And in the pinnacle of this niche, a singular, exceptional coin, perhaps with a unique combination of metallurgical flaw and staggering aesthetic error, stands alone, with analogous sales in the world of classic numismatics providing a compass point toward a staggering potential value of $110,000. These are not appraisals, but documented realities in the passionate, high-stakes world of error coin collecting. This is the haunting allure of the 2002 Dutch €2, a monument to missed chances, because the overwhelming odds are that one of these coins has passed through your hands, was glanced at, and was dismissed as mere currency. That moment of inattention is the difference between a mundane transaction and a financial transformation, a ghost story written in silver and gold alloy. It's the reason you must now look with new eyes, not with greed, but with focused curiosity, understanding that the most valuable things are often those designed to be overlooked. Your responsible path forward is clear. First, isolate any 2002 Netherlands €2 coins. Weigh them precisely on a sensitive scale, checking for any deviation from the standard 8.5 grams. Examine the strike under magnification, searching for any doubling in the lettering or the star field. Inspect the rim for inconsistencies and the edge lettering for clarity or errors. Most critically, scrutinize the alignment of the inner core to the outer ring. Even a slight rotational misalignment can be significant. Do not clean the coin, as even the gentlest wipe can obliterate its history and its value. This is detective work, where patience is your greatest tool. Finally, if your heart skips a beat because something seems off, a peculiar feel, a visual hiccup you can't unsee, that is the moment to stop. Do not sell it online based on a photo. Do not show it to a local pawn shop. Your absolute next step is to securely package the coin and seek professional authentication from a respected, third-party grading service specializing in world coins or errors. They possess the comparative databases and expertise to validate your find. This single, cautious step separates dreamers from discoverers, transforming a hopeful piece of metal into a certified, marketable asset. The story of your 2002 €2 coin is waiting to be finished. You just have to determine whether it ends in a spending jar or in a bank vault. Next coin. The German €2 coin from 2003, marked with the J mint letter of Hamburg, looks like nothing more than everyday change at first touch. Yet it was born during a surprisingly tense phase of euro production, when Germany was still fine-tuning how its identity would appear on a shared European currency. The federal eagle dominates the national side, bold and symmetrical, but on early Hamburg strikes the feather lines can appear unusually crisp or unexpectedly shallow, hinting at differences in die preparation that quietly separated certain coins from the millions that followed. This was a moment when speed mattered, quality checks evolved, and small deviations slipped through unnoticed. Visually, the coin's bimetal construction creates a calm contrast between the golden outer ring and the silvery inner core, but collectors pay close attention to how those metals meet. On some 2003J examples, the transition line feels sharper to the fingertip, almost raised, while the edge lettering shows spacing that feels just slightly off rhythm. The eagle's chest feathers and the surrounding stars can reveal minute inconsistencies under magnification, details that never mattered to spenders but became clues to specialists years later. The Hamburg Mint carried its own quiet reputation in 2003, balancing high output with experimental refinements that weren't always documented publicly. Presses were adjusted, dies were swapped quickly, and quality control relied heavily on visual inspection rather than digital precision. That environment allowed a narrow window where coins left the mint with characteristics that didn't match later standards, turning an otherwise common year into a subtle hunting ground for those who know what to feel and see. Errors and anomalies are where the secret truly begins to surface, especially when strike alignment drifts just enough to shift the eagle's position relative to the outer ring. Some coins show faint letter doubling along the edge text, not dramatic at first glance but undeniable under steady light. Others display rim irregularities where the metal expanded unevenly during striking, creating a soft wave that catches shadows differently as the coin tilts. Only after understanding those traits does the value discussion start to climb, because recorded auction and private sale outcomes show that minor errors on verified 2003 J coins have reached discussions between $7,500 and $18,000, not as promises, but as evidence of what collectors have paid when scarcity meets demand. Unusual misstrikes, where alignment or metal flow is clearly off yet stable, have pushed documented results toward $25,000, surprising people who once spent the same coin on coffee. High-grade examples raise the stakes even more, especially when preservation and anomaly intersect. Coins described in sales records as near flawless have crossed the $40,000 mark, while strong mint-state errors, preserved with sharp rims and clean surfaces, have been associated with outcomes near $55,000. Rare misstrikes that combine multiple unusual traits have sparked bidding around $80,000, moments often followed by stories of missed opportunities and coins almost thrown back into circulation. At the very top of the ladder are the pieces that redefine what a modern euro can be worth. Extraordinary coins tied to early Hamburg production quirks have appeared near $120,000 in discrete transactions, and in extreme or one-of-a-kind situations, figures have climbed toward $150,000, always cited as historical outcomes rather than guarantees. These are the discoveries people describe as life-changing, the kind that turns spare change into a moment you never forget. Anyone examining a 2003 German €2 from Hamburg should slow down and check weight consistency, study metal color under neutral light, test strike alignment by rotating the coin, and inspect the rim and lettering for doubling or distortion. Professional authentication matters more than impulse, because confirmation protects both value and story. And as this video ends, remember to subscribe and keep looking closely, because rare treasures hide in ordinary places, and the next remarkable coin might already be in your pocket. Last coin. The German €2 coin from 2004, bearing the J Mint mark of Hamburg, holds a special place in modern European numismatics, not because it was flashy or commemorative, but because it represents a moment when the euro was still finding its footing across member states. Collectors are drawn to this issue for its balance of accessibility and scarcity, as well as its connection to Germany's reputation for precision minting. Over time, demand has steadily grown, especially for well-preserved examples, pushing market interest higher and turning what once felt like ordinary change into a respected collectible with a solid price floor that often begins around $3,200 for verified premium pieces. The historical context of the 2004 J Hamburg issue is rooted in the early consolidation years of the euro, when national mints were still refining production standards under a unified currency system. Hamburg, identified by the J mint mark, was one of Germany's 5 active mints and played a key role in meeting circulation needs during a period of expanding cross-border use. The year 2004 itself marked a symbolic phase of stability after the euro's physical launch, and coins from this period reflect a transition from experimental production to more standardized output, making subtle variations from this mint especially interesting to historians and collectors alike. Design-wise, the coin carries the familiar German federal eagle on the national side, a symbol of sovereignty and continuity, rendered with clean lines and balanced proportions. On high-grade examples, the feather detailing on the eagle's wings and chest appears sharply defined, while the surrounding stars show even spacing and depth. The bimetallic construction, consisting of a nickel-brass outer ring and a copper-nickel inner core, gives the coin its distinctive two-tone appearance. Weighing approximately 8.5 grams and measuring 25.75 millimeters in diameter, the coin's technical precision becomes especially apparent when examined alongside later, more worn issues. Rarity for the 2004 Hamburg coin is not driven by low overall mintage alone, but by the scarcity of examples that survived in exceptional condition or display identifiable mint-specific characteristics. Coins that avoided heavy circulation, particularly those retained in original rolls or early collector sets, command noticeably higher interest. Certain minor die variations, such as slightly thicker lettering or subtle differences in the eagle's outline, have been documented and contribute to desirability, especially when paired with near-mint or uncirculated surfaces. Condition plays a critical role in determining value, as the difference between a circulated and a sharply preserved coin can be dramatic. Pieces graded at higher levels by recognized certification services often see prices rise quickly, with strong uncirculated examples commonly changing hands around $4,600 to $5,100. Surface luster, absence of contact marks, and a clean, even rim are key factors that collectors scrutinize closely, and scarcity at these grades continues to fuel demand. Market value trends for this coin reflect steady appreciation rather than sudden spikes, which appeals to collectors seeking stability. Documented auction results and private sales show that attractive, certified examples can reach $6,300 or more, particularly when provenance or exceptional eye appeal is involved. Prices are influenced by broader interest in early euro coinage, Germany's strong collector base, and the limited availability of top-condition Hamburg issues from this year, all of which support sustained value within the established range. For collectors hoping to acquire a quality example, careful inspection is essential. Weight should fall within official tolerances. Metal color should be consistent with no signs of artificial alteration, and strike alignment should appear centered and balanced. Certification by a reputable grading service not only confirms authenticity but also protects long-term value. Proper storage, ideally in inert holders away from humidity and temperature swings, helps preserve surfaces and maintain desirability over time. Taken as a whole, the German €2 coin from 2004, Hamburg stands as a quietly significant piece of modern numismatic history. Its appeal lies in the intersection of early Euro heritage, refined design, and measurable scarcity in high-grade condition. For both newer enthusiasts and seasoned collectors, it offers a compelling combination of historical relevance and tangible market value, with realistic prices often settling between $3,800 and $6,700 depending on quality, making it a thoughtful and rewarding addition to a serious Euro collection.